So today we have an episode with Susha over here, and she is a nurse turned entrepreneur. She does like money management, shows travel nurses how to get into traveling, and a whole bunch of other things. So I am super excited to have you on here. So Susha, can you just introduce yourself and tell us a little
Yeah,
about yourself?
yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Like you said, my name's Susha, and I've been a nurse since 2018. Been doing the ICU since I graduated. Started traveling shortly after. Built a large social media following from that, and now I do entrepreneurship full time.
That's awesome. So let's go back into you started nursing in 2018. What kind of nursing floor did you start with?
I went straight into the ICU, so I
Oh,
didn't
nice.
do med surge. Yeah, I didn't do any of that. I didn't think I would like that. So I kind of knew I wanted to travel as soon as possible. And I thought in the ICU, I would be able to learn my skills the fastest.
That's awesome because like when I first started, like we were just talking off recording, I started 12 years ago and you couldn't do that. You couldn't go straight into the ICU, but now I'm seeing more and more people can do that.
Yeah.
And so you just wanted to go straight into traveling, or did you have like what a lot of other people want to do and go into like maybe CRNA school as well?
To be honest, I wanted to keep my options open. CRNA school was always a choice. I didn't know if I would necessarily like it,
Hmm.
and I wanted to make sure I had that as an option. But I had been able to talk to travel nurses before even starting my career, and I kind of knew the path I needed to take. So I knew I needed to have those strong skills and be pretty independent pretty quickly. So the hospital I applied to, they offered a residency program. It was about 6 months long, and got to start right away.
Dang, that's pretty dope. Did they pay you during the residency program?
Yeah, they did. I was basically a full-time staff nurse getting paid what I normally would get paid, but then would have to do extra classes and come in on my days off. But it was pretty good.
And then how long into, I guess, like that ICU career did you start doing travel?
I would say about a year and a half, and I think COVID
Nice.
definitely made that decision for me. I had it in the back of my head, but I went to nursing school in Mississippi and worked there
Okay.
about a year and moved to Dallas. And I had only been at an HCA hospital for 6 months. Honestly, hated it. And COVID came at the perfect time, I guess. And everyone started leaving bedside. So that kind of
Mhm.
gave me the push to do the same.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. And where was your first contract?
My first contract was locally, so
Okay.
I live in Texas right now, and I went to Houston for my first contract, so that's kind of
That's
where I settled down.
and that's like so that was during COVID. So you're getting like those amazing COVID rates.
Yeah, pretty much. We were making like 10K a week. It was just
Oh,
insane.
dang.
Yeah. Now it's not like that, it's
Yeah.
kind of come down a little bit, but it was pretty cool.
That's like one of the things that I feel like I missed out on was during COVID. I was like, dang, I have so many skills that I could like cash in on, and I
Right.
just didn't do it. And I was like, now I'm like looking back at it, I was like, 10K a week would have been really nice.
Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely a gamble. I used most of that money to buy my house and kind of
Mhm.
invest in myself, pay my debt off. But yeah, you just never know. I mean, obviously times change now, so a lot of travel nurses that were all for it, they've gone back to the hospital or done outpatient or something. So
Yeah, it's pretty wild because like I see like the rates right now are some of them in New York where I'm at are less than what a staff nurse is making
oh,
or the
yeah,
same. So they're like, why not just go staff nurse and get
yeah,
your health
exactly.
benefits and all that?
Yeah, and
But
that's how I was feeling. Like you had mentioned, benefits are really hard. 401ks are very annoying to have to keep rolling over.
oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and also, living that kind of lifestyle is fun when you're young and single, but when you want to start, settling down, it does get more difficult.
And is that your plan? You seem really young, so it's like I'm assuming.
So I'm 29.
Okay.
I don't necessarily feel young all the time. But yeah, like I said, I bought my house. Planned on turning this into an investment property at some point, but met someone, so wanted to start thinking about the future long term and kind of stay in Houston for a little bit.
Oh,
So
awesome. And then you also said you do IV therapy as well?
I do, yeah, that's something I really enjoy. And that's becoming super popular now too, is like IV
Mhm.
hydration as well as aesthetics. So after I pretty much finished my traveling adventures, I came back to Houston, started looking at less stressful environments,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and yeah, and stumbled upon some local drip spas. So you can either have people go to your house and give the drips, or you can go to a spa studio type thing. And mine was in person, so I still do that now on the weekends. It's pretty chill, and the client interaction is very different versus in a hospital. So people are, well, one, they're alert, but they're
Yeah.
also pretty grateful, to be there and feeling better. So
So you said that you could either go to their house or they could go to your house.
kind of like a concierge service.
Is that scary at all? First off, do they ever go to your house? Like, just because I don't know if I'd be comfortable with
Oh yeah, yeah. No, sorry, not in my house personally. I would go
that.
to,
Okay.
yeah,
I
because
was like, dang. I was like, I don't want you knowing where I live.
yeah,
Shoot.
I don't need the crazies out there following me. But yeah, yeah. So I did that for a little bit too, where I was doing like kind of like home health, but just for IV hydration.
And how much were you making as a nurse when you first started, and now you're in like the IV therapy
Yeah,
stuff?
so that's the thing. That's a great question. I would say my very first job in Mississippi, with the shift differential, I maybe was making 27 an hour.
Yeah.
And then my full-time job at the HCA hospital, maybe 40. And the drip spas, they can range. I've worked at a couple, but anywhere from 32 to 42 an hour. So it can be comparable to the hospital, but typically, yeah, they don't pay as much or they don't offer benefits. So,
That's what's crazy because I just like some of my friends just like tagged me in a post. Like some of them are in Texas or like lower paying areas for
mhm,
nurses, and they're
yeah,
showing me like a post that showed like a Bucky's employee, like the gas station, getting like the same amount of hourly wage as like a nurse, and
I
it
know.
like
Yeah.
infuriated them.
Just like I said, why did I go to nursing school? But so yeah, that's actually kind of what led me to entrepreneurship. I was working at a drip spa locally, and my current boss, him and his wife, would always come in, and they were always traveling, always working really hard, really sweet people. And pretty much for the next year, they were trying to recruit me, followed me on social media, kind of saw my work ethic and entrepreneurship. So finally, I applied with the company, and now here we are.
Nice. And then, so let's go into all your entrepreneurial endeavors. You're like, I could go to your LinkedIn page, and you're doing a bunch of stuff. So you got the consultation for financial planning. How did you
Yeah.
get into that?
Yeah, so that was pretty much what I had just mentioned.
Yeah.
So basically, I think the opportunity kind of fell into my lap. I was getting pretty tired of bedside. I was getting pretty burnt out from the ICU and looking at
Mhm.
different options. I had been doing social media up until that point for about maybe 4 years, just kind of doing it for fun on the side,
Yeah.
and had my online business through that, just selling digital products to nurses that want to learn how to become travel nurses. So I kind of understood the basis of what it took to build a business. And like I had mentioned, my current boss now, he really saw that in me. And yeah, I applied and got the job. And it's kind of hard to explain because I'm my own business owner, but I partner with Northwestern Mutual. So I'm kind of like contracted through them. So that's what I mean when I say employer. But yeah, now it's my own business. It's my baby, and I find my own clients all on my own. I pay for everything, and it's been great so far.
And that allows you to work from home as well?
Yes, we actually have multiple offices throughout the Houston area, so I typically go there to be more productive. But yeah, I can work from home. I can work anywhere. The flexibility is awesome. There's no cap on pay. I get to make as much as I want to, and I get compensated on how hard I work. So all of that outweighed the previous life that I had.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And so for your financial planning, like what products do you have?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's very holistic. And I am licensed. I'm a licensed representative in the state of Texas. And I can take clients all over the US. But when you hear the word advisor, you can probably find a bunch of different things on TikTok, on the internet. And really, some people will focus more so on protecting your income, the insurance side of things. Some will focus more so on the investment side and growing your money. My business, we actually put those two together and create a holistic, comprehensive plan. And the reason we do that is because we're not just going to sell you a product and never talk to you again. And you're basically in the same place you were before. Mm-hmm. So all of those initial meetings, the financial plan is totally free and complimentary. And I do that on purpose because that kind of eliminates the barrier to entry. For people that honestly want to be in a better situation financially, I think everyone should have access to that. And then the only way that, I would actually make money is if you decide to act on any recommendations once the plan is built. So we'll give you a projection of where you're currently headed if you were to do exactly what you're doing today, and then where you could be based on those recommendations. And that does include insurance, could be disability, which a lot of nurses don't have enough of. Our employers, they offer it, but really that's a tax write-off for them. And it's typically only 60% of your income covered. And since it's taxable, after that, it's usually only 40%. So, statistically, 1 in 4 of us will become disabled at some point. So anyways, I walk nurses through that. I work with a lot of travel nurses because, again, they have lapses in benefits. They have a million retirement plans that are not being used. So I help with that. We help see if you actually are covered through retirement. And typically, if you only use your employer's retirement plan, you're not. And so that's when we talk about different things such as investment options to really start growing your wealth to complement the retirement plan. And then also we talk about whole life, which is honestly an amazing vehicle. Again, there's so much stuff out there on the internet that a lot of it can be crap. And I let my clients know that, like, if you're going to buy, you want to go through a reputable company. So, Northwestern Mutual, that's Fortune 100, it's been around for 160 years. And the reason I use it is just because they really do take care of their clients. So, on the business side of things, we also offer very different things. A lot of nurses are also entrepreneurs that I work with. I absolutely love that space. So yes, we're busy dealing with the business side of things, but we really want to think about the future and think about exit strategies. Once that your company, everyone wants to become worth millions and billions of dollars. What's your exit strategy? How are we going to mitigate taxes? Because the biggest paycheck we will write is to the government and to Uncle Sam. And that really does add up after a long period of time. And then we also offer group benefits. So, I work with small companies that, their employees currently don't have any disability. They don't have any retirement plans. And we help set that up as well.
That, you went through so much that I started writing notes in there. So it's true. So I have a lot of friends that do traveling. So we'll start with that part where they sign up for their employee benefits of 401ks, but then they have no idea where everything is, especially if they do one contract at a time and they're on to the next agency or whatever, just trying to do that. So you help them with all that transferring of funds, consolidating and everything.
Exactly. We help them roll it over and consolidate. And if you open an account with Northwestern, that's yours. It'll go with you no matter where you are. And that kind of just gives nurses peace of mind. I don't have to keep rolling this over and also, having to basically start over every single time that you get a new contract.
Oh, wait. So if you make an account with say you, right? And that agency allows you to have a 401k through them, you could just have it directed to where you work with Northwestern?
So they would actually opt out of the one that the agency offers, and then they would just utilize my services. And then that way they could keep that for the remainder of, their life, basically. And that way they don't have to roll over ever again.
That's super, simple. Like I have to tell my friend that because
Yeah,
he was like, wait, so I have all these different 401ks. Do I have
yeah.
to keep rolling it over to the one? But
Yeah,
you
it's super annoying. I've had to do that too, and yeah, I totally get where travel nurses are annoyed with that process. So it's like there's got to be something better out there. So yeah, there is.
if how about this question? Can someone opt out? Like if they're a staff nurse, can
Mhm.
they opt out of their employer's, I guess, 403b or 401k and do the same thing with you
They
guys?
they can. However, I will say typically we actually recommend having multiple retirement plans. So we actually want them to have the one through the employer because of the match, and that's just free money. So
Mhm.
that specific retirement plan, if you only have that, that's never been enough when I see the financial
Mhm.
analysis. So we recommend keeping that one, but also opening either a separate Roth through us or opening different investment accounts with us. And
I
that way
see.
complements each other, and it also offsets the down and up markets throughout the years.
Oh, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
how would I explain it? Me and a few friends, we're all entrepreneurial nurses. So
Mhm.
we have our Roths, we have sadly, where we work is a 403b and we don't have an employer match. So that's
Okay.
always garbage.
Yeah.
And then we all have some sort of life insurance where depending on who you work with or who you talk to, that was the conversation. So
Mhm.
we all have different things. But for me, I guess we'll go into, I have a whole life insurance where it's cash
Mhm.
value. So I think that's one of the really cool thing for when I get to a certain level,
Yeah.
I could start pulling out the cash and start doing more rental properties. Is that what you also
Exactly.
go to?
Yeah, that is amazing. It sounds like you're already on the right track, especially people within the real estate business. They love whole life because they want to maintain the liquidity, but they also want to be able to pull out cash when needed. So I will say, just to explain a little between permanent and term whole life. So every single employer that nurses work with, that's only going to be term. And the benefits of it is that it's super cheap and it's affordable, but it's not going to build cash value like you mentioned. And once you leave, you don't have it. So it's like renting an apartment. It's good while
Mhm.
you need it. It's very flexible, but in the long run, I always recommend getting permanent. And that's because, yeah, one, let's say someone in college just gets a super cheap whole life policy. By the time they're in their 20s or 30s and they're ready to get married, they want to buy a house, they want to plan a wedding, they have that money that they can pull from that cash value without having to take out their own money. And that's one of the coolest things that younger people don't really think about, when we think of whole life. But that's a really cool vehicle to use. And then you can also use it as a second retirement option as well, and that's a safe, guaranteed return on your money.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like even though how I was explained to it and how I've read on it, you could you could technically get no negative cash
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
And you're
Oh, sorry.
yeah, you go for it.
Again, you want to go through a reputable company. You want to have one that has low costs, like internal costs. And you also want to go through a mutual company, which basically gives any excessive money back to the client and
Mhm.
they don't go to the stockholders. So you really want to do your research. Again, obviously, I would love if people work with me, but if not, at least make sure it's a good company because there's so many crappy whole life policies. But yeah.
No, it's true. So that I feel like that's why whole life or just life insurance in general gets a really bad rap. So just to play devil's advocate for you here,
Mhm.
why isn't whole life insurance a scam? Like that's going to be a question that everyone always asks.
Yeah, so that's honestly what I love walking clients through. And the way that I work with my clients is I'll gather all their information, date of birth, income, and that'll really help me build an illustration. And historically, Northwestern Mutual, they have at least a 5% return every single year. I'm not allowed to say that it's guaranteed,
Yeah.
but they've never not paid a dividend. And those dividends, that's what's used to build the cash value. Well, first it pays for all the internal costs, but anything left over, that's going to go directly back into the policy. Again, they have been AAA rated. There's only 3 other companies that have been AAA rated in terms of life insurance. Again, they've been around for 160 years. They're a mutual company as well. So all of those things play a part into how trustworthy a policy can be. Again, I would never sell something that I wouldn't have my mom buy, that I wouldn't buy. I have my own policies through them. But yeah, as far as universal policies, that's also where you have to be super careful. And those are the ones that people think are scams. And those you really, really have to do your research on.
Yes. Because like you listen to the Dave Ramseys and a
Yeah.
lot of people on TikTok or YouTube, obviously there's both spectrums
Yeah.
where they're like, just do term and
Yes.
be fine with it and just have it till you're 65
Yeah.
and then it's gone.
Yeah,
Or
exactly. And I will say with Dave Ramsey, in a sense, he's speaking to a younger generation. He's speaking to the masses. It's not so much on a client-to-client basis. And in a sense, he is correct. With younger people, I would probably recommend term, depending on their financial situation. If you have mountains of debt, you don't want whole life. You don't want to be throwing a bunch of money into your investment accounts, because that's also what we look at is the defensive side of a financial plan. We wouldn't be a good financial advisor if we didn't make sure your income was protected. So we have to pay that debt off first. That's usually the priority with younger people. And then as situations change, I plan on being with my clients throughout, their entire lives. That's kind of my job. So, we address one thing at a time. And I do say term is usually a gateway to whole life at some point. But really, the important thing is locking in your health and your age at the time, because as we have seen in the healthcare system, you can be diagnosed with cancer tomorrow. You can be diagnosed with diabetes tomorrow, and that makes you uninsurable for the rest of your life. And these are things we don't think about when we're young.
no, that's huge. That's why I always bring up since I have whole life, my wife does not. So I keep telling her, so while we're super healthy, we should at least get you some sort of thing because we have 2 kids. It's like, just in case something happens, at least we know the houses will be paid off. Our kids are going to be fine.
Yeah,
Whoever's still around is going to be fine.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that's pretty relevant with people around this age group is, when you buy a house, what's going to happen if you pass away? Who's going to pay for that? If you have kids, that also creates another need. Do you want to fund their college? Do you want to leave a legacy? What do you want to leave them? And then also paying off any other outstanding debt and, paying any charities or organizations. Those are usually the 4 things that clients want to make sure are covered when they leave.
It's true. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Just to go back a little bit, I forgot to ask this. The reason why you went into the to Northwestern, and I guess you kind of touched upon it. Were you able to get rid of all your debt through travel nursing?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah, exactly. So I utilized travel nursing to kind of build a foundation, bought my house, paid off debt, made sure I was really stable. Like we always recommend having an emergency fund for 3 to 6 months. So building that up. And then that allowed me to be able to leave my full-time job and step into entrepreneurship. It's always scary though.
Oh, yeah.
You never know. I'm 100% commission based. So you really have to work for it. You have to want it, and you have to remember your why. So, but yes, it did help me get out of debt.
Because that's always like a big question where I ask all my other entrepreneurial people that I have on the show, and people ask me, is like, why haven't I left my job yet? I was like, sadly, I have like golden handcuffs where I work. I'm not exactly bedside, but they pay me really good and the work isn't hard. So it's like, I don't mind going in, but if I could, I probably should eventually, if I could leave, then 100% just entrepreneurial, just keep doing my thing. But it is hard, like you said, just leaving something so stable.
Yeah, you obviously have your kids to think about. You have your house, you have your wife. And I mean, if I talk to other nurses in the same situation, I would recommend them staying at their job and at least doing it part-time and help fund your goals and your business until you can fully step away. And I think that's what a majority of people do anyways, because yeah, we got bills to pay. So.
So let's just talk about how did you just decide to leave nursing? It's like just because of stability.
Mhm.
What really gave you that push to be like, let me really double down on myself and just do it? Especially that you said 100% commission based.
Yeah, I think again, kind of looking at the pros and cons of the life that I wanted to have in 5, 10 years. I'm big on affirmations and vision boards and kind of seeing what future you want for yourself. And I really think my online business helped a lot. Kind of getting my foot in the door, kind of using it as training wheels to just see like what kind of work ethic it took, the consistency. I'm sure, as you know, but social media in itself is very hard,
Yes.
especially remaining consistent. And I think what helped me leave was just people believing in myself. You know, like I had mentioned, Peyton and his wife. Those are the people that kind of recruited me to Northwestern. I saw how they were living their lives. I saw what kind of life I wanted, and I really just took the leap of faith. I had been thinking about it for a while, and I think I just needed someone else's help to get there.
And is the pay better? Can you say that?
Oh, 1000%. It is a grind, but I love the ability to go out there and make as much money as I want. Would I go back to nursing ever? I don't think so, unless it was just to maintain my skills and another stream of income. But yeah, the pay is substantially better, and it's also projected to grow every single year. So.
That's true. And like that's a thing too. So like nursing is such a not simple, but it's a good backup. Like
It is.
at least you always know you have it in your back pocket. And if you really want to keep your license
Yeah.
renewed, all you got to do is a few CEUs and pay the little fee. And just
Yeah.
in case if everything just blows up, you're like, okay, I could go back to nursing if I really needed to just to get back on my feet. And like,
That's exactly how I feel. Yeah. So I just renewed my license and I plan on keeping it. And yeah, it's always there if I need it. So, I mean, I'm definitely grateful for nursing, and there's
oh,
so many opportunities within that space.
and how are you getting all your clients for your business?
Yeah. So I love this side of things. Social media definitely has been very helpful just in credibility, especially people that have seen me grow throughout the years. But I'm based in Texas, so I can help people all over the U.S. But I think Zoom has just kind of
Oh
changed
yeah.
everything. That allows me to meet with clients. I also don't really cold call people. I work mostly 100% word of mouth. So having those really strong referrals is very helpful for any business. And I do go door to door. I love working with local businesses. I work with clothing stores. I work with couples that have opened a small shop in Houston, and now it's grown to a large amount, and now they have employees. So yeah, it's just getting super creative. I also use LinkedIn and other social media platforms.
Yeah, that's huge because I'm seeing like you have like 18,000 followers on Instagram. And for someone that looks like I won't even say just started, but you're
Yeah,
doing really well.
I appreciate that. And I think from what I've seen in my videos, just being authentic and sharing my personal story has really worked well for me. So I never thought anyone would be interested in like me being born in China and being adopted. But
Mhm.
just those small things that kind of make you you.
And is that also like really just like leveraging your social media to get out to everybody? Just
Mhm. Yeah, I think social media is so powerful, and obviously my natural market is going to be nursing and healthcare, but I love working with everyone.
and I think that's so smart because I talk about this with everyone on the show here is that entrepreneurship and then financial literacy is nowhere in the curriculum for nurses. So having someone with the knowledge there to guide them through it is a
Yeah,
need.
yeah, I've lived through it. I've been there. I've experienced everything that they've experienced. And nurses are amazing to work with. I will say doctors typically think they have everything set, and we go through their finances, and it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, you could do this a lot more efficiently. So that's really fun for me to do.
So you're focusing nurses, doctors, anyone in the healthcare field,
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
it is true. Like I talk with my, I work really closely with a lot of physicians, doctors, everything like that. And some of them, even if they're making 10, 20K a month, some of them
Yeah.
are still living paycheck to paycheck, which is wild to me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Well, the first thing is that I've noticed people with more money, they actually need more help.
Mhm.
And also, are you really living a sustainable lifestyle if you make 200,000 but you're spending 199,000?
Right.
So, really seeing where we can optimize, having more money to play with. And again, that's why paying off debt is so important, because that really is going to hold you back from what you're trying to accomplish.
And going to the debt again. So what would you say, which things you have to pay off? Just like
Yeah,
school loans, or go into it?
so that's a great question. There is an order that you want to go down, and there's also good versus bad debt. And that's kind of what I explain to my clients. So you're going to want to start with the highest interest rates. So usually those credit cards that are 20% interest, those got to go first. And the average American is about $20,000 in credit card debt. And when you ask them, how do you feel about that? Typically, they don't really care. They think it's
Sometimes
fine.
they don't even know.
Yeah, they don't know, because their payment's only whatever, like 200, 300 a month. But when you add everything up and see the compound interest in a negative way, that's
Mhm.
when we're really like, okay, this is a problem. So we have got to get rid of that credit card debt. As we have to get rid of it as soon as possible. And then you just go down the list of, the interest rates. So typically personal loans, student loans, car loans are in there. And then the last one is usually a mortgage, because depending on your interest rate, that one is one that we don't really recommend paying more into, just because it's building that equity, and you don't really necessarily have to pay it off as quickly as possible, because it is considered good debt. So
Yeah, that's huge. Like I feel that a lot of my coworkers or people that I talk to, because they ask me things about that as well. I'm like, they just let that credit card debt linger so long. Because like, oh yeah, it's a little bit of money, but then I was like, do you guys know that that 2,000 charge turns into like 10,000 by the
yeah,
time they're done paying it off?
exactly. And that's the thing, is like, for instance, let's say you paid 1,000 for a TV. Well, years later, you're really paying like 3 or 4,000. And it's like, would you have initially bought it if you knew you were going to pay that much for it? And that's really why, having that emergency fund is so important, not to touch, and living within your means.
That's the hardest part. A lot of people love that lifestyle inflation.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And that's the thing. That's another thing I touch on, is inflation. And there is actually such thing as having too much cash in your bank account, especially if it's in a traditional account. So
mhm.
I always recommend having high yield savings if you can. I have a lot of recommendations for those, and at least yielding the same percentage of inflation, which is around 2 to 4% nowadays. Otherwise, you're losing your buying power over time.
Yeah, that's huge. I see a lot of friends of mine or coworkers as well. They have thousands of dollars in like a regular checking account getting
Yeah,
0.0001%. I'm like, what are
exactly.
you doing?
Yeah, exactly. So that's when we really talk about, high yield savings. Sometimes we'll recommend a CD or a money market, or we'll look into investments. So again, you want to have a diversified portfolio. You don't want just like one thing or the other.
Yes. And how versed are you on like 401ks? Because I want to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, you can ask away. And if
So,
if I don't know, I can always find out. But
okay. So me and a few other, I guess, entrepreneurial nurses are like, so we think a 401k or 403b, depending on matches and all that, is like one of the biggest scams.
okay.
Can you rebuttal it? Biggest
Uh,
scams in the sense of outside of a tax deduction for us as employees to
yeah,
get like put into 23,000 makes
yeah.
your income look lower.
Mhm.
Most of these places don't let you allocate the funds the way you would actually want, because they only have certain funds you could choose from.
Yep,
Whereas,
that's also why I recommend going through an outside company, because you can actually choose where it's invested. Typically through an employer, they either tell you where it is, or most employees don't even know that that's an option to change.
Hmm.
But to your point, I always recommend employees having the Roth option if the employer offers it, like Roth 401k. And that's when I talk to clients about the tax benefits, advantages and disadvantages of 401k versus Roth. Because basically 401k, you're not taxed on the front end, but you're taxed on the back end. And that's a lot of money. By the
Yes.
time you retire and you're 65, again, people don't really think about it, but I mean, it's like, do you want to pay taxes on the seed or the harvest? And a lot of people say, well, the seed, obviously. Well, that's going to be your Roth option.
Yeah.
And that's why I always recommend that one, because you're going to be taxed on the front end, but not the back end.
And then, yeah, you actually see the money for what it is at the end of the
Yeah.
time
Yeah,
it's in
exactly.
there.
You're getting more out of it. So,
Yeah. And that's so huge. Like, and so for your financial planning too, have you met nurses where they don't even have opened their 401ks?
yeah, I've met a lot of people that don't even have one. Life happens, people put it off. It's natural for us to just procrastinate. But the thing is, I show my clients the later in life you get, the more money you're going to have to invest. And it's not a matter of if, but when. Like everyone wants to retire. None of us want
Hmm.
to have to keep working when we're 70, 80 years old at like McDonald's. So the longer you wait, really every single day, but every single year, it really adds up. So the sooner you open one and start contributing anything, I tell clients, just do like $100, $200, whatever you are comfortable with, and building up. It's better than nothing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I've talked with some of my coworkers again, I hate that I bring it up, is that some of them, like we've been working together for like 10, 12 years and they just started their 403b or 401k. I'm just like,
Yeah.
do you know how much money you missed that on?
Yeah, exactly. And like you had mentioned, you don't have the match, but anyone that doesn't take advantage of a match, you're really leaving money on the table. And HR doesn't really do a great job of explaining
Oh,
what
they
a
don't.
match even is. They tell you if you pay into your retirement, you'll be set. Oh, you guys get disability, you have life insurance, but they don't break that down. Like, what does that actually mean if I need it, if I need to use it?
Oh yeah, like I looked into our paperwork here because I remember I had, for some reason, I still have my binder from like 12 years ago when I was hired.
Mhm.
Um, they have like just a little paragraph saying you have a retirement account. This is how you sign up, and
Right.
that's it. And then, oh yeah, you have a life insurance policy through the hospital, but then it's only $75,000. So it's like,
Yeah.
what is that in
Exactly.
the?
That's not going to do anything. Funeral costs alone are $25,000 to $50,000, and people don't realize that either. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just insane.
yeah, just throw
But
me into the ocean. That's it. That's really it.
yeah, exactly. So we don't want you guys to have to do GoFundMe's or whatever the case is to raise money when you pass away. So
Yeah. So I guess going back into it, I don't. I like playing the devil's advocate thing. So for me, I only for my 403b, I'm only doing 1% right now because I feel like I've hit a level in my 403b where, um, if I just keep it sitting there and let it do its thing, it'll be like $3 or $4 million towards recovery,
mhm,
not recovery, towards retirement. But
mhm,
then I feel that with the extra pay going into my paycheck,
mhm.
I could pay towards my life insurance. I could
Sure,
also probably get um, another rental property or really fund my investments.
sure.
Like,
Yeah, that's
I guess
fair.
I'm asking the professional in you
You
thoughts.
know, that's a great question. Again, I would have to plug everything into our software and
Mm,
really see and be able to project out. That's kind of what it's there for. And then I can really look at like, okay, you actually are good in retirement. You can actually pay less, because I've had clients overpay too. I've had clients paying like 10%. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's actually too much.
mm,
And, let's allocate that money elsewhere. So honestly, I would really have to see and project if you are good through retirement. Also, I walk clients through like, how much would you feel comfortable in retirement? Do you want to be getting in the same amount of money you are today, or do you want more, based on what you're going to be doing later on in life? So I really walk clients through that. But I will say, if you just have one retirement account through work, it typically has never been enough from what I've
oh
seen.
yeah,
Yeah.
never.
Yeah.
So, since you also work with high income individuals like physicians or travel nurses, the ones
Mhm.
that don't initially qualify for a regular like Roth IRA, do you also help them do the backdoor Roth IRA and all that?
Yeah, we love backdoor IRAs, or we do conversions. So we'll do a little bit at a time from 401 to Roth. It really depends on their financial situation because, as you know, if you make too much money, you can't max out a Roth.
Yeah.
So that's when we do the backdoor option. And I love doing those. I think clients really enjoy it. We don't know if it's going to be around for forever, by the way. So
Yes.
that's not always going to be an option. But for now, it's pretty good.
Yeah. You got to take advantage of everything that the government is giving us to, I guess, get us out of middle class or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I really enjoy. I really enjoy mitigating taxes and kind of, just being most efficient in your plan because even if you are in a good space, you probably can be more efficient in certain areas. So that's really what I help clients with.
Yeah, and that's huge. So we're going on 40 minutes. So if you wanted to give advice to any nurse that is trying to take a step into the entrepreneurial space, what advice would you give them?
Think my advice would be you have to spend money to make money and not being afraid to invest in yourself. So that could even just be education, that could be coaches. I invested into a business coach as well as an online course coach to teach me how to do these things. So it's don't be afraid to ask for help, I think is what my advice would be. And also, it's scary. The time's never going to be the right time. So you kind of have to decide that on your own.
And for the people that are sticking into the nursing, what advice would you give them to if they were looking into being a travel nurse or during like doing side hustles like you did with the IV therapy?
Yeah, yeah, I think that, well, one, I have a course if you want to check it out, shameless plug, but I do have a course that teaches you how to become a travel nurse. But that's another thing I help, newbie nurses with is that you have to get experience, you have to be independent, you really have to set yourself up to be comfortable traveling and also living that nomadic lifestyle. And you can also do it locally. A lot of people that
Mhm.
are moms or, have families, they feel like they can't do travel nursing, but you can do it within the same city. So there's different options. And then I always recommend side hustles. I think that actually helps keep you sane when you are working full time. Just something that you enjoy that you can be creative with, or you can do, on the side, whether that's involved in like the fitness space, if that's involved in, health and wellness, coaching, whatever the case is, just find something that you enjoy.
Oh yeah, 100%. You don't want your whole life to be about nursing, or
Yeah,
I think I would hate myself.
yeah, that's yeah.
And if anyone wanted to reach out to you regarding everything you just talked about, how could they
Yeah.
reach out to you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. My handle's at XUEBRU. And yeah, just send me a DM. I offer free monthly budgets. That's also another thing that a lot
Awesome.
of people are not great at. And yeah, again, the consultations are free, the planning's free. So yeah, just hit me up.
Perfect. Zusha, it was so nice having you on here and talking with you.
Thank
This was a
you.
lot
I
of
really
fun.
enjoyed it. Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
And have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Perfect.